Hello and welcome to season 2 of Fabulous Woman. I'm your host, journalist and broadcaster Marvin Cole. This season's finally here and I'm calling them the Joyful Sessions because the focus is going to be on the individual kind of journeys of self-discovery of the women I speak to during this lockdown, and also what are they doing and what are we all doing to keep ourselves happy. Now, as ever, the women in this series are a mix of women I know, women I've worked with, who I follow on social media, or who I've been admiring from afar and basically stalking for a very long time. But they all have the same thing in common. She is a fabulous woman. So each episode, short, sweet, snappy. It's going to make you laugh. It's going to make you cry. So make sure you tell your friends. Right, let's go. Wow, super excited. It is season 2, Fabulous Woman, and Ronke Lawal's with me, PR consultant. How are you?
I'm fine. Hello. Thank you so much for having me. How are you?
Really good. Surviving in these surreal times. I think that's what I'm going to put the name on it for. It does feel very surreal. And it's been the longest time since I've caught up with you properly.
Yeah, it's been a
Thanks
while.
for joining me on the new season, all by Zoom and wherever you get your podcasts as well. The podcast sticks with the same tradition, speaking to a fabulous woman each episode, right? And you are absolutely no exception to that rule. But obviously with a little bit of a twist now, because I want to hear how you're all coping, right? What you're all doing. So what's the new normal like for you in this PR world then, Ronke?
This is an interesting question because I'm used to dealing with crisis, maybe not at this scale, but I'm used to dealing with crisis. So it feels like I've managed to cope quite well in the midst of this, but then I've recognized that being said, I've still continued. So we're in a really strange landscape, especially in media relations. So what I tend to do for clients is try to get their stories onto media platforms, traditional or new media. But obviously things are changing, right? So I'm still trying to work and pitch in and tell stories, but then the people who I'm trying to tell stories to, their newsrooms are changing. So I'm having to adapt even just how I communicate with them and realizing that actually and also manage my clients' expectations. So their priorities in terms of, let's still try and get this in. I'm trying to just let them know that actually the people I'm trying to talk to, the journalists, the media platforms and outlets, they're changing and they're dealing with other things. And so our priority isn't their priority. And we have to be mindful of that. But I've always tried to be mindful of that anyway. It's just about managing client expectation, but also for myself, managing my own expectation, because I've just kept on going, but then I've not rested. And I think it's really important to rest, even though we're staying at home. I still need to rest.
Yeah, absolutely. You're talking about newsrooms changing. They totally have, haven't they? Because of course the news agenda is 99.9% coronavirus, right? COVID-19.
Yes.
And in some cases, depending on the news organizations you're pitching to, some have furloughed staff already. There's a lot of talk about, the Guardian's done that, Reach PLC, the kind of mirror group of newspapers regionally and nationally have as well. So there might even be less actual journalists working on stories full stop. Has that kind of affected your success at all, or are you still managing to punch through?
Well, this is a really great question. What I'm finding, interestingly enough, is the smaller publications, the more niche targeted publications are still being quite responsive, right? Because their audiences are still looking for different kinds of content to keep themselves upbeat and not necessarily just focus on the current pandemic. The bigger scale, the larger scale, it was tricky before. Now it's going to be a lot trickier and it's taking a lot longer. And as you've mentioned, even the big ones who we think could survive this they're shrinking. So now it's just about being, you know, mindful of the fact that their teams are shrinking. So what I found, what I've always done in my career is I've always shown equal respect to both the small niche publications and the big ones. So I respect the local journalists, the niche journalists, the mainstream media journalists. Whereas some people do want to focus on the mainstream, which I understand. I'm all about showing the same respect to everyone. And I think what that's done is it's actually benefited me now, because I'm seeing that I'm getting some really good responses from niche publications. But then again, it's also about changing client expectation as well, right? Because clients still want the big, glitzy, you know, the major ones.
Yeah.
And now I'm having to tell them, but no, look at this small scale one still gets engagement.
Yeah, exactly.
It's been interesting. It's been interesting.
Engagement is key, isn't it? Absolutely, engagement is key. And of course, I myself have hired you, full disclosure, and I know how brilliant you are. You know, even I knew this like 2 years ago, before even this crisis was in anybody's brain, right? So, and what I love about what you do as well is that kind of thought leadership, you know, in kind of delivering great, interesting solutions and just basic tips about how to promote yourself as a business, the things to do and what not to do, more importantly. And you've been doing that for about 3 or 4 years now, is it?
Yeah, even longer. Yeah, but although, as you've just described it, so you've actually hit the nail on the head, because I pivoted to that kind of, those kind of, the thought leadership perspective and the personal branding perspective over the past 3 or 4 years. So yeah, I mean, I've been obviously doing PR for much longer, but that particular kind of area of expertise, I've started to kind of iron out the kinks and I've become better at giving that kind of advice. And I've been rewarded for it, because I get, before the crisis, I was getting booked to speak at events about how to position yourself, personal branding, how to engage and communicate as individuals, and so basically using PR tactics on an individual level. So yeah, I'm glad you noticed, actually, because not everybody noticed.
I'm the all-seeing eye. Yeah, I see you, Ronke. I see you. And you've been broadcasting as well, of course. You were doing, was it talk radio with Penny Smith for a while? Saturday mornings, I think. I secretly stalk you.
Yes.
Okay, so call the police now, get the handcuffs. Sorry.
That's funny.
You've been doing that as well. What's Penny like?
Yeah, you know what Penny is as you see her, and she's a consummate professional. She's a professional broadcast journalist, so she's very on it. And so it was really interesting. I learned a lot from her. I think she's got a great, that Saturday morning voice. I think she's good at that. So yeah. It was really interesting. It was a really interesting experience. And I think because I grew up watching her on TV, I don't want to give her away her age. We used to make jokes about that, but it was good.
Though, didn't we? Was she TVLM or something like that? She
was on
Daybreak, etc. Yeah.
Good Morning Britain. No, it's Good Morning Britain now, but it was, like you said, it was I forget what it's called before. Yeah, I think she was very good then, and she's a good broadcaster.
Excellent. So do you reckon you might be doing a bit more of that then? When we return to normal, which is the common phrase now, like when?
I think so, and I think do you know what's good, and what's good about paying attention? So you're so good, Mark, because you're showing people how important it is to pay attention. Is that I can learn from. I don't just pitch to journalists for the sake of pitching to journalists to get coverage from my clients. I learn from journalists like yourself in terms of tone, communication. And so I'd love to go back to doing some radio work in the future when this hopefully goes back. Well, I don't want to say it goes back to normal. It's like you said earlier, it's a new normal. So whatever the new normal is, and life is going to become after we get through this, I would like to do more. At some point, or at least,
Good. I don't doubt that for a second that you'd be standing outside a radio studio, knocking on the door, going, "Let me in." Do you know what I mean? You'll be like through the doors, potentially your own show. Do you know what I mean? Because you can, right?
Lips to God's ears.
Speak it into existence, right? Come on. You're talking about new normal. Okay, so So we've done like work, right? So outside of work and where you are, you're based in London, right? What's the situation like where you are in terms of going to get your food and all the rest of it? Are you getting deliveries, or what's happening? Because I tell you now, I'm almost frightened to go out of my front door. It feels a little bit irrational. Actually, it is irrational. I've got my mask, I've got my gloves, and when did I last go out? Good Friday. I did the shop for myself and Austin, my hubby, and then what did I pop out yesterday, which was so uncharacteristic of me, because I actually went to the pharmacist, right, to pick up a repeat prescription. So it was like I had to go. But I was like so shocked by my local high street and the amount of people just enjoying themselves, walking out, no mask, no gloves, all this, that, and the other. It was like a normal day on my high street, which was a little bit freaky. I didn't feel it was the right thing for everybody to be doing. I knew I was out to get a prescription. I was wondering, it kind of made me throw suspicion on people I didn't know, which is like, not even me. But so that's my experience. Like, what's happening where you are?
Yeah, I love what you just said, because I haven't been out to do any kind of shop for about a week, and I'm thinking I'm going to do an online shop, purely because aside from obviously following the restricted movement regulations, when we're going out, we're finding that, okay, people are social distancing in the queue, but once we're getting into the supermarket, I was going to say cinema. See, I'm missing.
Yeah, no, I'm with you.
Once you're getting into the supermarket, people are just literally walking over each other. And I know some of the supermarket chains are limiting how many people are actually going inside now. So it's getting better. But I just feel like I can't, and I don't want to be that kind of person, but I can't trust people. Like, people are just not, I can't trust them. I'm side-eyeing everyone. So I'd rather just stay at home. And I think being in London, as you can imagine, even the smallest high streets, still people are going out and being busy and just doing their thing. And the local parks, like local councils are already starting to close down the parks, which is really bad, because if you're in a place where you don't have a large garden, or as you know, it's highly populated in the city anyway, even if you've got a garden, sometimes you want to go out for a walk. So it's been a bit tricky, and I don't want to be the kind of person who suddenly side-eyes everyone and judges everyone, and you don't want to get angry. You want to still be able to trust that people will do the right thing, but it's tough. So I'm limiting how often I go out even for the shop. So like I said, I'm going to go do my online shop, and I haven't done my daily walk around the block for the past 2 or 3 days, and I'm feeling it now. I mean, I don't mind being a homebody, but I do feel like I do want to get out fresh air, because sometimes if you go out, people aren't on the pavement. It's like I'm having to walk into the road.
Yeah, and it's distressing, isn't it? Because you've got to look and check, okay, that I'm not going to get run over here, but actually I need to do the social distancing, and the only way to do it is to get in the road. It's ridiculous, isn't it?
And what's really funny, Marv, is like people have gloves and masks, but they're not following the social distancing. It's like you know one thing, but you're not doing the other thing.
No. And you know what? I can kind of resonate with that, because I feel when I step out the house, I feel like I've lost my head. I feel like a bit, and that's because I haven't been out for several days or whatever. And I'm like ninja moves in the supermarket, just trying to do it as fast as I can to get out. And in that way, it's weird. It is funny, but it's also like it shows just even how that is kind of affecting. It might just be me.
No, it's not. No, honestly, hon, it's not. And we have to collectively, after this, we're going to we need to invest in some kind of counselling, or just talk about this, because it's going to affect a lot of us. We might not even realise our habits are going to change after this, but it's not going to go back to, we're all going to be feeling a bit anxious about how we interact. And even just in public spaces, when they open up the malls, the shopping centres and the cinemas again, it's going to be difficult. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough.
Without a doubt. Can I ask you something really personal?
Yes.
So, obviously we will kind of chat to our friends and whatever every day. And me and a couple of my girlfriends have been talking about like hair and nails and stuff. And my nails, which are normally my pride and joy, are shot. So if ever you see my nails in the screen, please don't berate me because they look terrible. They're broken and just because I had to get the gel off, and you know what I mean, like first world problems. They're not coping very well. In terms of like the like looking good and all this, that, and the other. What's the situation? What's happening with you? I had to like open various drawers to find my makeup bag because I'd completely forgotten where it was, because I don't think I've worn makeup for about a month since, like things like that. It's like really weird. Just put it on today going, oh, it's makeup. Wow. Oh, it makes me look younger. Wow, this is good. I should put it back on every day. Like, so how's your regime going?
Well, if it wasn't for this call, I wouldn't have. I put on a little bit of foundation and a little bit of lipstick. I have got like 4 giant plaits under this head wrap, and I was thinking, I could do like a twist out, or I could do a style, and I was like, you know what? Let me just wrap this thing up.
Yeah.
So I actually miss my local salon, and I hope they make it through because they're the local, on the little on my little high street. I miss them a lot, and I like to change up my hairstyle. And I know people are learning how to do their own braids, and they're doing them. I might try to learn. I don't know. I don't feel like it.
Yeah. And it's all about how you feel. And at the end of the day, there's so many brilliant YouTube videos anyway that you can do all sorts of stuff. But also, it is about what's just best for you in the moment. And if you're not feeling it, don't worry about it.
Let me try this thing. I've got, no one will, like, if I do it and it doesn't work, I don't have to take a picture. But, I definitely miss my salon. I was never really into nails, but it was funny, just before this all happened, I was thinking, I'm going to treat myself to a mani-pedi, and then it all happened. So now I'm like...
You're like, well, so much for treating myself. Then when will that ever happen again, right?
Yeah.
It's weird. It's funny because I never used to be into my nails. Well, saying that, I was into my nails in my 20s for a while, and then I used to have acrylics. And then when you take them off, obviously they destroy your own nails. But then obviously, some people might remember I used to be a shopping channel presenter on QVC. Oh gosh, I started there about 2013. So you had to have, for your close-up shots, perfect nails. And so you'd get your nails done as a matter of course every 2 weeks. So I'm very used to just my nails looking. Wow, and it's just a shame. Pray for them. And thankfully, actually, when I came back from London, working in London a few years ago now, anyway, I went natural because I used to wear all sorts of stuff on my hair. Who doesn't, right? I went completely natural. So for me, like, I was never really doing salon visits. I mean, I might go once every couple of months to get trimmed, like get split ends and whatever taken out.
Yeah.
But thankfully, everything I use my hair, I'd order online or whatever else. So I haven't felt the pain in that way. Some of my girlfriends have felt the pain in terms of, they had custom made wigs and all the rest of it. Do you know what I mean? And I'm like,
yeah.
I'm praying for them as well.
Gosh, it's a lot.
It's a bit tough, isn't it? And so, you know what? The whole point of this podcast is just about how we can keep ourselves positive and keep joy in our lives, because it's a very, very difficult time. Make no mistake, we only have to look at the news headlines for 5 minutes to understand the scale of this, and the worry that people are feeling for all manner of different reasons, and they may have lost loved ones and what have you. I'm interested to know what you're doing, or what you're doing at home. Obviously you're working your butt off, okay? What are you doing in those non-work times to keep yourself joyful?
I love that question. Oh, I love that. So one of the things I'm doing, and I have no guilt about doing this, is just,
Oh, hang on. Is it clean?
Yeah. I'm only joking. PP, don't worry, PP.
So sorry. I'm a child of the 70s. I was watching Carry On movies, so I couldn't. Yeah.
It's just been catching up on whatever I want to watch, whatever nonsense that might be on Netflix. I'll binge whatever I want to binge. I'm discovering new shows. I discovered Race Across the World recently, which I'd never watched before, which is a great show on the BBC, which is just about people going from one end of the world to the other on a limited budget. Love it. And I like my US-based reality TV, so my Real Housewives. I don't watch all of them, but Real Housewives and Married to Medicine, that's my thing. Music, I'm tapping into new music. I did a little call out on Twitter for people just to send in some recommendations. And I've just been I've discovered a whole host of new musicians that I'd never heard of before.
Really?
So that's good. And another thing is, I've always been mindful of my social media. So I enjoy social media because I give it the energy that I want to receive, if that makes sense. Yeah. So actually, I know platforms like Twitter can be stressful, Instagram can be stressful, but because of how I use it, it has actually brought me joy. So I amplify funny clips on Twitter, and I just, do you know what I like? I like the reaction and interaction from the people I follow and who follow me. So actually, social media has been good. I take regular breaks when I need to. So if it gets overwhelming, I do take a break. But during this time, it's been nice. And because I amplify some funny, silly things, it's just been a nice outlet. So definitely, if you can figure out, because I know it's hard on social media, especially during a time like this, it can be overwhelming. But if you can figure out how to just amplify things that bring you joy and share things that bring you joy and, just encourage others, social media can be quite positive. So I've used the content, the Netflix, the YouTube, any content that just makes me feel happy. Spotify's been good this season. I'm enjoying my Spotify playlist. And reading. But the thing about reading is, as much as I love my books, is I pace myself. So when I finish a good book, I give myself a few days before I get into another good book. Because sometimes even reading, you've got to concentrate and focus. And I think I noticed I was constantly thinking. So reading, I like to get away with my book, but sometimes when I'm watching TV, I don't have to think. When I'm in my book, I've got to think. So it's about balancing it out.
Yeah. Are you in a book at the moment?
I have a couple of books that have come through from authors they're not released just yet. I'm lucky. Some people and I just finished reading a fantastic book called The Namesake. I can't remember the author's name, but it was a brilliant, beautiful, beautiful book called The Namesake. I was going to try try to reread Marlon James's book, The Seven Killings, but that was a tough read, and I was going to try it again this time round, and then I thought, no, it's still too much. It was too difficult. So
yeah. Brilliant. I'll tell you what, then when you get with those links, like send me the links so at least I can kind of add them to the podcast as well, so other people can take that away. I like your strategy on social media, and I'm going to steal that strategy from you, because I think one of the reasons why I've been feeling quite low around Twitter is probably the way I've been using it, to be fair, because, and it's my journalist mentality. I look at the terrible headlines and I retweet them and I just go, this is an outrage, because I'm outraged, right? And that hasn't been helping me. So, but then, you talking about like really fun stuff. I mean, I love Emergency Animals and all those accounts where they show little cute baby animals, and like the Dodo channel on Facebook Watch, like with rescued animals. I could watch that all day, every day. Maybe it's just push those out, like, because I'm a sucker for a cat, right? So at some point, Meatloaf, our cat, will come in and start screaming, probably, because that's what he does when he's hungry. So I love animals, so maybe it's that, because and it's a brilliant tip, and you're obviously, seeing great benefits from it in terms of like just getting laughs and people sharing laughs and stuff like that.
This is it. Love it. This is it. It helps, and I know, like I said, the caveat is balancing it out, because we get so much information, we get so overwhelmed, and there is a lot of negativity, I'm honest, but on the flip side, I feel like and I think the thing is on social media is people sometimes use platforms like Twitter. I know I was at one point thinking, I should be pushing out more professional stuff, professional PR-y stuff, and make people know that I'm an expert. And then I just thought to myself, well, no, it's such a big platform, especially Twitter specifically. I've got LinkedIn for the more serious stuff. Twitter, I can balance out my serious and my fun, and it can bring me joy, and it definitely has been bringing me joy.
Oh my gosh, you're bringing me a lot of joy now here as well. Brilliant tips. Oh yeah, what shows can you recommend on Netflix? Although other SVODs are available. What what you
There's a
said Real
really
Housewives or something?
well,
You like all those women bitching after one another like that? Really?
Real Housewives isn't even on. It's not on Netflix,
No,
unfortunately. I
it's
feel
not.
like
Is it ITVB or something?
it's so, yeah,
No.
ITVB. That's it. Netflix is an excellent short series, 4-part series called Unorthodox, about
Oh,
a woman, and it's based on a true story, although it's dramatized as well, based on a story of a woman who left the Hasidic Jewish community and her journey from leaving a marriage and moving to Berlin, from New York to Berlin. Fascinating. Like,
wow. Okay.
it's brilliant. I think everyone should watch it, and it's had a really good reaction. Self-Made,
Oh
which is
yeah, I just saw that.
yes,
I watched it in a day. I watched it in a day.
so much fun. It's interesting how certain stories are received. I think some people they didn't like the way, I don't want to, no spoilers, but some people didn't really like certain parts of the Self-Made
Yes.
series. But if you watch it for what it is, it's just entertaining. And I can understand why they made it as dramatic as it was. It had to be, because otherwise it wouldn't have been fun.
Yeah, absolutely right. There was definitely dramatic license taken, and there's quite a few people who said, "I didn't like the portrayal of X. It was very inaccurate. They made it up." Da, 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 da.
Yes.
So, and then you go, okay, but I suppose the baseline is at least they dramatized something about this incredibly important woman's life and legacy, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Those are my two main recommendations.
All right. Oh yeah, I can hear the cat. Wait a okay. Yeah. Oh dear. Oh, can you hear him?
Yeah, I can hear.
He's not going to jump up on my lap, but he's got a big gob. Anyway,
Okay.
that's probably the cue. I'm going to feed him. But what I wanted to say was thank you so much for joining me on season 2 of Fabulous Woman, because you are a
Thank
fabulous
you. And so
woman.
are you. You're awesome.
Oh, bless. You're too kind. Mutual Appreciation Society. Thank you so much. Stay joyful, stay positive, stay buoyant in these difficult times. Meatloaf, just shush, will you? And sending you lots and lots of love. Before I go, how can we follow you on social media and on LinkedIn and all the rest of us? Give us all your goods. Give us what you got.
Okay, so I have my own eponymous website, ronkelawal.com, Twitter, Ronke Lawal, Instagram, and LinkedIn, just search Ronke Lawal. But my business is Ariatu PR, so ARIATUPR.com. And if you Google me, you'll find me.
Yes. She's Googleable, y'all. That's very important. Know who you're dealing with. This lady is awesome. If you need PR services, she's ready for you.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
The Fabulous Woman podcast is a Raging Brum production.